gosh, guys, it looks like I forgot another one. Welcome to another episode of Wednesday Afternoon Worship. Today, it's Mr. Lagman23 once again, letting us know that I forgot all about the Furies. Now, I definitely thought this would be another Black Dragon Gaming homebrew for a deity, but by requesting the Furies, I've realized that we've kind of butted into official Paizo content. So today will not be a Black Dragon Gaming homebrew for the Furies because the Furies exist and are personified well and truly as one of Pathfinder's Queens of the Night. Specifically, we're cracking open Book of the Damned. Let's talk about Eiseth. If you guys are liking what you're seeing, hit that like and subscribe button today. This episode of Wednesday Afternoon Worship was brought to you in part by AJ Parker. Thanks for your help, man. Now, let's hit it. Alrighty, so in ancient Greek mythology, the Furies, who are also known as the Erinyes, were female chthonic deities of vengeance, sometimes referred to as infernal goddesses. They were invoked to take vengeance on men who had sworn a false oath. According to the Theogony of Hesiod, when the Titan Cronus castrated his father Uranus, well, there's a lot of that's what she says in there, but we'll take the high road, and threw his stuff into the sea, the Erinyes, along with the giants and the Meliae, emerged from the drops of blood which fell on the earth, while Aphrodite was born of the crests of sea foam. Neat. These guys lived in Erebus, with their task again just to hear complaints brought by mortals against the insolence of the young to the aged, children to parents, hosts to guests, things of that nature, and to punish them by hounding them relentlessly. Now, of course, the Erinyes exist as a devil in Pathfinder, got that fallen angel swag, and that's what struck me before I built this. Maybe let's look at Book of the Damned. Maybe something like this actually exists, and in fact it does. It's only one person, not three persons this time, but in Pathfinder, the Furies are represented again by the Queen of the Night, Eiseth. Eiseth is a Queen of the Night. Again, that's a demigoddess that lives in hell. She is of terrible infernal wrath. She, of course, being a fallen angel who is now presently known as the Erinyes Queen, Hell's Valkyrie, and she who defies limitations. A long time ago, Eiseth was a Movonic Deva serving in the infantry of a good god, who most believe is now very dead. Eiseth perpetually found herself frustrated, held back even, by the failings she saw in her Empyrean angel commander. She ached to become an Imperial Lord herself so that she could command her own legions, but her ambition didn't end there. Eiseth set her sights on rising to the ranks of an Imperial Lord of Duty and Vengeance. Regathiel, okay, neat. And over time, she became convinced that when her superior fell, she would grow in power and step to take his place. Of course, envy and impatience continued to fester in her heart until one day, after her commander made a decision that she considered was particularly, dumb, she rammed her halberd into the chests of the commander and the leader's most trusted advisors. When Eiseth was called for a tribunal to account for herself, she plainly stated her reasons for the murders, certain that she'd made the right decision to further Heaven's cause. Instead of being rewarded, of course, the angels, horrified as they were, handed down a swift and harsh punishment, and Eiseth never received it because as soon as she sensed the tribunal turning against her, she fled. For 603 years, she wandered creation, unsure of why her deeds weren't considered committed for the greater good, with, of course, that growing hatred of her former brethren burning a hole in her once pure heart. Near the end of the 6th centuries, Eiseth saw herself in a dream, and in it her angelic wings were pitch black, her pristine robes were tainted with celestial blood, and her once golden armor a pure matte ebony. She presided over an entire realm of suffering saints and screaming souls, a queendom nestled into a strange mountain of iron and brass blades. Eiseth was very quickly gripped with a desire to make this reality, and she dedicated herself to searching for this mountain, and she found it in the second layer of hell. This region of hell, of course, is ruled by the archdevil Bispater, who welcomed her, enamored of her ever-burning fury and her dedication to smiting those she once called kin. Millennia later, after scores of damned souls had become the first Erinyes, word reached Eiseth that some mortals had begun worshipping her as one of the whore queens, which associates her with a different deity, just plainly by virtue of her femininity and her home in hell. Of course, at this misogynist notion, Eiseth rolls her eyes, and she traveled with a contingent of Erinyes to the Stainless Caress, to meet the head of the Horror Queens, our dad Lily. She did not, of course, become officially a Horror Queen, but our dad Lily's cunning and singularly focused hatred, of course on Nirvana instead of on heaven, impressed Eiseth enough that she reached out to a couple of other feminine devils and the 4 demigoddesses, named themselves Queens of the Night, and formed an alliance to further their own agendas. Present day, Eiseth builds her armies in Dis, though she keeps the true name of her home closely guarded. Some call it the Widow's Cry, and it echoes with the screams of the suffering. Most believe these are the cries of wronged mothers and maidens, but the truth is, Eiseth is growing an army to take her vengeance on the world around her, unseating Moloch. Hey, we talked about Moloch a long time ago. Follow this card right up here. We'll catch you up, and then marshal all of Hell's armies and finally defeat the object of her wrath and vengeance for good. Now, is this a one-to-one of the Furies? Perhaps not, but we have Erinyes. The Erinyes exist, the Furies were also the Erinyes, and this is the biggest one of them. And since she is in fact associated with revenge and wrath, I can definitely see some mortals on the material plane calling Eiseth out to, harass forever and ever in eternal torment those who had wronged them. Now, anyway, moving on, Eiseth, of course, is lawful evil. Her domains are destruction, evil, law, and war, with the subdomains blood, catastrophe, devil, and rage. Her favorite weapon is the longbow, and her unholy symbol, a horned longbow. To perform Eiseth's deific obedience, sharpen a blade with 603 strokes, one for each year the Erinyes queen wandered existence, building glorious hatred in her heart, repeating, of course, prayers to Eiseth for the duration. In return, it's a +1 profane bonus to attacks against a single type of creature chosen each time you perform this obedience. If you choose humanoids or outsiders, you must choose the subtype, but it's a favorite enemy that we can refresh. No bad. Evangelist boons grant us murderous command thrice a day, death knell twice a day, or excruciating deformation once a day. At 16th level, once per day as a standard action, you can call down a shower of Erinyes flaming arrows in a 40-foot radius area centered anywhere within 400 feet of you. Each creature in the area takes 3d6 points of fire damage and 3d6 points of evil aligned damage, and then is staggered for 1d4 rounds. They can take half of that damage and negate the staggered condition at a reflex save, DC 10, plus half your HD plus your Cha. And at 20th level, the might and fury of a vengeful Eiseth standing against her foes, of course, is a terrible sight to behold, so once per day, you can create an overwhelming image of Hell's Valkyrie storming the gates of heaven to annex her long-desired queendom, functioning as the weird spell. Weird. Anyway, exalted boons. Ear-piercing scream thrice a day, Badger's ferocity twice a day, or fireball once a day. At 16th level, when Eiseth beats her mighty wings in unholy wrath, I'll take notice. And you know how to harness this power to aid you in battle. Once per day, you can cast Scouring Winds as a spell-like ability, and instead of sand, the storm conjures clouds of fiery ash, and it deals fire damage instead of piercing damage. At 20th level, once per day, you can summon 5 Erinyes to your side to fight on your behalf. This functions as Summon Monster 9, when an Erinyes is defeated, or the effect's duration has expired. A Cloak of the Blackest Night heralds the Erinyes return to Dis, creating a 10-foot radius, Sphere of Darkness, as per Deeper Darkness for 1 round, centered on the Erinyes' last position. Sentinel boons its True Strike 3 times a day, Flame Blade twice a day, or Force Hook Charge once a day. At 16th level, 3 times per day when you successfully strike an enemy, you can infuse your blow with the weight of Eiseth's Dark Fury as a swift action. When you do, your attack deals an additional 4d6 points of fire damage and 4d6 points of slashing damage as flaming swords from the depths of hell bite into your opponent's body. The damage is considered evil aligned for the purpose of overcoming DR. The additional damage is never doubled on a crit, but hey, an extra 8d6, not bad. At 20th level, when she focuses her terrible wrath on a single goal, the Erinyes Queen is a force of unbelievable power. You have studied Eiseth's tactics carefully, and can imitate them to advance your goddess's dark glory. Once per day, you can cast Ride the Lightning as a spell-like ability. Instead of a lightning bolt, though, you transform into a streak of lava, so it does fire damage. Neat! And that's different enough that Metallica won't be mad. Sweet. Anywho, Eiseth is lawful evil. You know what that means. There is actually going to be a little bit of homebrew today, because Eiseth's going to need that homebrew Tyrant Anti-Paladin code. It goes as such. My heart is full of vengeance for those who have wronged me. I will stop at nothing to set right wrongs that are done against me. I will attain what is rightly mine, and I will not let frivolous, moral, or ethical barriers stop me from achieving what I deserve. Any alliances I forge are alliances of conveniences and no more. Though my strength may be greater with like-minded individuals, I will not let their goals get in the way of my own. I will forsake my kin should they wrong me in any way, shape, or form. The ties of hell are greater than the ties of family. Now, as for that boon, let's say for a number of rounds equal to your hit dice, you gain DR5 over good, immunity to fire, immunity to poison, resistance 10 to acid and cold, spell resistance equal to 10 plus your hit dice, and a fly speed of 50 with good maneuverability, as well as a constant true seeing effect and dark vision out to 60 feet plus see in darkness as Eiseth transforms you into one of the agents of her wrath, an Erinese. Now, since this technically was a request for the Erinese, and really, if you look at D20 PFSRD, the Erinese is in fact known as the Furies, so there you go. I think bringing this into a campaign that isn't go to heaven, kill heaven, go, 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 kind of takes a little bit of finagling. In a lot of ways, Eiseth is a lot like the exact opposite, and I know I've said this a few times, but it just never stops being relevant, of Regathiel. Follow this card right here, we'll tell you why. Literally went from heaven to hell, whereas he went from hell to heaven, and probably lands about the same power. Not a true archdevil, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of like CR 21, 22, 23, but you know, able to kill most mortals with not a lot of effort. Bringing this into your campaign in something that's not like Hell's Vengeance requires that character to have a very single-minded focus averted. Something really bad has to happen to that character where it's not all about, okay, vengeance, defeat heaven. So, you know, for someone who's as angry as a worshiper of Eiseth, take something really important, but very trivial and meaningless, like a copper ring that happened to hold some, like, familial significance or something, and suddenly you're spending that whole game doing what the GM wants you to do to find that ring. If I were to worship Eiseth, frankly, she looks pretty good for an Inquisitor. I know I keep saying that every video, it's, let's make an Inquisitor, but I really like Inquisitors. Inquisitors get to cheat the rules of the faith in such a way that, you know, they can actually stop at something when they need to on their quest for vengeance. And also, any god with the long bow is a favored weapon. Any god that is a little less powerful kind of runs into the realm of the Inquisitor for me. I imagine a lot of tracking, I imagine a lot of knowledge checks made, intimidate checks in dark alleys, things like that, to find that person that's wronged you and take your revenge. And given that this is the Queen of the Erinese, I'm also kind of feeling the Strix, or the Syrinx, or any flying race to play worshipping Eiseth, just really play up that fallen angel motif as much as you can. Plus, who doesn't want to fly speed, right? Anyway, what do you guys think of our Master of the Furies? Have you worshipped her? Stormed the gates of heaven with her? Throw it in the comments. We'll keep the conversation rolling. But thank you guys again so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. The next episode of Wednesday Afternoon Worship, where we're gonna talk about one of the eldest, specifically Shaika, drops next Wednesday.